So now I'm going to talk about the Tendril deck. So to begin with, if you look at the front of the box is very, very, very muted. There isn't really bright bursts of colours except for the 4 pips and the very edges of these tendrils. So the Tendril deck and then the front design is tendrils. Very apt. Meant to be that way. But as far as the colour scheme goes, it's very dark, very muted. And that goes for pretty much most of the box. So you've got Tendril playing cards, you've got designed by Encarded, you've got the copyright details, and you have the printing company, which is the USPCC. So that's most of the box is muted in terms of colour, very dark tones. But then you turn the box over and you get a bright burst of colour, which is a very good packaging idea in my opinion. So you've got all this muted stuff and then bang, you've got all this light and colour here. So it really just accentuates the back design of this deck of cards, which I really, really like. And at first you see all these tendrils and they look very chaotic, but the thing is, it's actually designed so it's symmetrical from both sides. So it's a kind of order from chaos theory idea, or the other way around, however you want to think of it. Order from chaos, chaos from order, whatever. One more thing about this box is the Queen of Diamonds reveal. I don't tend to use reveals that are on the box, but if you like that kind of thing, then that's useful. So here we have the Jokers. Now, as far as Jokers go, these are definitely not my favourites. They're very normal, I suppose. As far as designs go, it's based on a mine design, which is what the whole deck's really based on. To be honest, I don't really see the mine design all that much, because it's a Tendril deck. I'm looking more for tendrils, but if you read about the background information, then you find out that it's actually based on a Mayan kind of glyphs idea. So you have 2 separate colour designs. This is for the black pips. This is the exact same colour design for the black pips. So you get yellow at the front, turns to green, and it turns to blue. And then you get the red cards, sorry. The red cards start with yellow, go into orange, and then go into red. And then the tendrils are the alternating colour. So when I say these Jokers are rather generic, I mean Jokers like the Guardians Jokers or the Sentinel Jokers are very, very boring. It just shows a Joker in a very generic design, and I don't know, it kind of bores me. I don't really like the standard Jokers either all that much. It doesn't really come to life, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion and my preference. Some people might like those Jokers. So what else comes in this deck is a double backer. Just for those who use double backers, I don't tend to use it. And then the next card, the extra add-on, is a gimmick card. A very useful gimmick card, which is a reverse 10 of spades. So you have a 10 of spades which is black back, and then you get a 10 of spades which is white back, which is very, very nice. But I don't really see myself using it that much. And then we have the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades design is actually quite normal. You get a spades and then you get different layers of colours, and it's just a really bright burst of colour in the middle of a card, which I really, really like. Then you got these tendrils. That's just really as much as the Ace of Spades goes. It's like a regular Ace of Spades, but with just a slightly different colour design. And I like it. It's simple. Can't really go wrong with originals, really. Now the court cards. As far as court cards go, they're pretty much like normal ones, but with the tendril twist to it, shall I say. So you've got here, it's the Jack of Spades, but it's the same idea. You've got the generic court card, and then you've got pretty much the generic court card, but with kind of tendril twist to it. The lines aren't as well defined, they're just really wobbling around. So that's like a Tendril deck, I suppose, as far as Tendril decks goes. One more thing about these decks is, I'm not sure if it'll show up on the camera, but it's very, very muted. There's tendrils in the black design of the card. I'm not sure if I can get it onto the camera, but it's the same tendril design as the back design, but it's actually on the front as well. It's really, really subtle, and you won't notice it unless you're actually looking for it. But I thought that was pretty neat. And then the other thing you may have noticed that the pips are very, very small and more central. They're more squashed together. And I think that makes the cards look a slightly bit neater. Wastes quite a bit of space in some opinions, but I find it very, very neat. I really like it that way. So then I've already talked about the colour design, how the red ones differ from the black ones, or in this case the yellow and green ones. You've got starting yellow going out to red, and then you've got yellow going out to green. Whoops. And it just makes for a very, very neat design. So this is a blacked-back deck without the downfalls of a black-back deck. You've got the black-back, which a lot of people like, but then a lot of black-back decks, they tend to be completely black, so as time goes on you'd use them and the sides would chafe and turn to grey. With the Tendril deck, since they start sort of whitish, greyish colour anyway, you don't really get that kind of a problem. So that's a upside about it. It's a black-back deck without all the downsides of black-back. And it's white borders both sides, so when you're doing reverse reveals, it doesn't make any difference. So that's another plus for it as well. A lot of thought really went into this deck. So when you fan it, it looks beautiful. When you just riffling through it, it looks beautiful. Just nothing you can say that is really bad about these cards, really. Well, except maybe the Jokers, but that's my opinion. So as far as handling goes, it handles like most USPCC decks. In comparison to a standard deck of bicycles, these are slightly weaker to begin with, as most custom decks are, so it allows for better handling. It's specifically for Magic or cardistry, stuff like that. It just makes it easier to manipulate, as opposed to standards which are used for poker games as well. That aside, there's not much really to talk about with this deck. It's definitely one of my favourites. Some people say a downside is that the more intricate a deck looks, the more people are going to suspect that it's not a regular deck. I don't really think this is so much a problem myself, but to each his own. That's the Tendril deck. So I'm going to leave description details for it in the description box. And I think last I checked they were all sold out, but there were some defect copies left where the box wasn't quite right, but the cards inside were totally fine, so I'll give you a link to that and see if they're still there, and hopefully you can still get some yourself. But that aside, that's the Tendril deck. Thank you for watching.